All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next segment of Two Stone Dudes podcast, and we have Mondo Humoculario on, well, not on the line, but in the studio with us.
Yeah.
And he is going to give us a lesson on magical enchantment. Sir, you have the floor.
All right. Well, thank you, Ryan. Now, enchantment is one of the realms of magic from the discipline that I come from. And what that basically is spell casting, casting spells. That's really all it is from where I'm coming from with this. So there's many ways to do that. I mean, you have the old school kind of sympathetic magic where if you were doing a spell on or for another person, you might have an effect of theirs, a personal effect. You might have like a sock or a piece of hair, or lock of hair. You might have, some actual waste of their body. I'm not talking about shit now, but anyway, some people might do that. At any rate, that's called sympathetic magic. You use that article as a base to cast your spell into. So in other words, that'll be the link to the target.
Okay.
Okay, so basically there's a magical equation that I won't go into, which is really not proven by any means, so I don't really want to report that. But at any rate, we know that if you have an object that you're going to cast a spell at, or if you have an intention, which is what your spell is. For instance, I want to make $500,000 in 3.5 weeks. Okay, that's an intention. I don't recommend making those kinds of intentions.
Really?
Well, okay. Well, one thing it has for it to work, we've seen it has to be realistic.
Okay.
If it's not realistic, it's highly improbable that it'll occur.
Okay.
It might. You might get lucky. It might occur. So you'd want to say, like if it's in the realm of possibility, I want to make an extra $1,000 next week. That would be. I don't like stuff like that. I like more general wealth creating stuff as far as money goes.
Okay.
I want to make more money than I ever made.
Okay.
I want to keep making more money than I ever made. I want to make the most money I've ever made so far. See, things like that, and those tend to work better. And then, see, we have the work after the spell, which I call sweat equity. Which is, if you start a business, you got to work the business so it doesn't succeed. Mm-hmm. So, if it was about making money, you might want to look into some things which you could make money at, or contact some people who are making money, network. You might want to do that. Might be your sweat equity, for example. So anyway, you have that type of spell, that's more the types of spells I do. They're more intention based. We make a statement, call it a statement of intent, and then turn that into a sigil, which is a symbolic representation of the intention of that spell. What is there a plane coming in? Anyway,
Sorry.
At any rate, that's that part. Okay, so now you have other types of spells, like the old Wiccan. I came from a Wiccan background into magic, and a long, long time ago. That was just because it was the first thing that was at hand, and then I moved into other stuff after that. Well, a lot of that is candle magic, where you sit and you do something with a candle. Maybe you put an intention into a candle, and you burn a certain color of candle anointed with a certain type of oil. Or put herbs on it also. Or we used to get the sheets of beeswax from the honey place over in Tempe, and they would have these sheets of this beeswax that you could roll. You put a wick in it, roll it up. It's a candle. So you could put all kinds of stuff like that in those types of candles. Burn a candle. That would be your 24/7 magical spell, or for however long the candle lasted. Mm-hmm. You can buy candles that last for a whole month. There's jugs that are this big. Now, then there's that whole school of magic that comes from Latin America. Mm-hmm. Huge. Whole bunch of different stuff going on. You have the magic of the saints, which is called Santos. And that's a big magic that's in Mexico, for example. Next to the Nahuatl magic and some of the native. There's a lot, I'll talk about that in a minute. At any rate, you can do those kinds of spells. You can also do knot magic. Knot magic is really cool. You get a long piece of cord And every night you tie a knot while you say and meditate on your intention. And then you go back and you do that on every knot. Well, after 30 days, you got 30 knots.
Yeah.
So you're putting a lot of meditation in.
Right.
And I've had that stuff work. Not always, but sometimes it works really well. Okay. So that's another type of magic you could use, or another type of spell you could cast. Then there's the ones. My favorite ones are some of the in the Voodoo and in the Santeria and Santos traditions. They're very eclectic. In other words, they'll combine all kinds of stuff, and it's pretty cool. For instance, they got a god down there, or it's a demigod. They call it an Orisha. And this god he's really cool. He's like a little trickster type guy, but he's like a kid. So when you make an offering to him to have him do some, his name is Exu and in Portuguese, and if you have him do some work for you, if you do an offering, you give him like little fire trucks. He loves fire trucks. He likes an offering of fried chicken. He likes anything red, and he likes corn candy. That's another offering that you make to Eshu. And he's called different things in different, So it's all that you could work through a god form or a spirit to do a spell also. Okay. That's another way of doing it. Cool. So there's all kinds of different ways to do it. And what I tell people, if you want to do that, just get something that feels good, get that intuitive feeling about, and you do that. Do that. Make up your own. Get it out of a cookbook. There's about a bazillion cookbooks around. Mm-hmm. You could use Anna Riva's. I can't find her books anymore. I think those people thought they were loanable, and so she had all these little. Anna Riva is really cool. She's from the Philippines, but she knows all the voodoo magic. She knows all the Santos, Santeria magic. She knows some ceremonial magic, and so she put together all these cool little spell books. And so those were fun to use. You could take and combine those with it. Then there was another guy from Mexico who lived in El Paso who was a Santos guy who had all these books. So those are the different types of spells that you can do. That's just some of them. There's even more than that. There's ones that you do while you're dreaming. You can actually do a spell with exercise. You can do a spell. Sigil magic is my favorite because you just make a symbolic, two-dimensional representation of the intention of your spell or enchantment, and you concentrate on that sigil. And you fire it into your subconscious. The idea here is that, okay, so write spell. In other words, what you want to accomplish, the result that you want. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it doesn't do the work right here. The magic works in your subconscious. That's the theory, that the magic works in your subconscious. So you want to get that from here to here. So it's working 24/7 without you thinking about it, and you don't want to think about what you did. You want to do it really quick, get it from here to here, and then forget about it. Okay. That's the whole idea, and that type of magic. And I like that. I've had the best results with sigil magic. And there's a lot of ways to do it. You can do several different ones for the same pathway you're taking. You can do things like that. There's just so much you can do. I mean, I can give I used to give a 2-hour class on this particular topic. For years I did. But anyway, and some other people I was hooked up with. And that's what I say. I said, there's some basic training. Now, if you're starting out and you want to have a place to start out, I recommend training yourself. One of the big tools in this is meditation. You want to be able to focus intensely, even for a short period of time. Because most of what I do with the spells, for instance, is an intense focus and concentration for a very short period of time. So that's a good goal to have. Another good intention for that is to do motionlessness, like lay on your bed. Mm-hmm. Don't move for as long as you can. I mean, if it's an hour, you're a fucking motionless stud person or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're a ballsy individual,
Right.
right? I can do. I don't want to say I can do. I can do a lot, but that's because I've been doing this shit for 30 years.
Right.
So, at any rate, that's a good thing to do for like meditation type warm up stuff. Visualizing things like symbols and whatnot. Visualizing things that happen that you want to happen. Have a visualization of that. You can even. I found you could even plan your dreams. You could even plan what you're going to dream about. A lot of people do that, They just don't know they're doing it. Has anybody here ever done that?
Sort of.
Okay.
I have a lot of reoccurring dreams.
Have a recurring one? Now, did it come to you first, or was it something that came into your mind before you dreamed it, or do you remember that? That's either way.
I'm not.
Not sure.
But
So those are all good things. So lucid dreaming is a very good thing to look up and study. That's a whole class in itself. We're not going there. There's a lot of things to train yourself, which is just all good mental training anyway. Like, I think, Ryan, you do yoga, right?
Yeah.
There's another great physical discipline that gives mental benefit.
Right.
And you probably meditate then to some degree.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. So there you go. You're already a lot of the way there.
Yeah.
There's a book I think everybody should get if you could get it. It was a book by Franz Bardon, and it was called Initiation into Hermetics. Almost impossible to find, but if you could find a copy of it, it's worth its weight in gold. Unfortunately, I had somebody borrow it I thought I could trust, and who knows what they did with it. It's a very hard book to find because it has the very best training in it I've ever seen. Now, there's some guys that we contacted to do a podcast with us, and they wrote a book called Emergent Magic. And their book is a great book for beginners and for people who want to just do something different.
Okay.
So, and you can get it on Kindle. I got it on Kindle for like $5 or something, or maybe it was $10. I don't know, but it's very good book. And these guys know what they're talking. I know these guys; they know what they're talking about. They do, and they would do all group work. That's what they believe in. So anyway, that is my little stint for today. And if you have any questions or anything, send them on into the podcast on Anchor or on Facebook or on YouTube.
All right. Thanks so much, man. We appreciate it. We'll see you on the next segment.